Well, hello, everybody. How's everybody today? I'm sleepy. I have been not sleeping very well this week, and I have been doing things that I know are going to make it to where I don't sleep good, and it's just, we just deal with the consequences of our actions. It's kind of the place that I'm at right now, I'm kind of getting super stressed also as we get closer to the time to move, because I'm like, okay, I actually need to sign a lease soon, trying to get places to communicate. I don't know why, but rental places don't communicate very fast. So I'm trying to email people and I'm just not getting responses very quick. I'm like, hey, can you please send me the rental requirements so that I don't give you $150 for the application just to get denied because whatever, I don't know, whatever dumb shit. Anyway, so yeah, just starting to really feel that stress, and I am needing to take the time to do some anti-stress stuff. I really struggle with routine, even though I really desperately want routine. So it's stuff like I want to wake up and stretch in the morning. So I've been doing it a couple days in a row here, just getting up and maybe even just doing a couple really basic stretches, because that's supposed to calm you down. So, it's just a lot at the moment. But looking forward to the holidays for sure as we creep ever closer. It's geez, Christmas is in a week and a half, guys. A week and a half, Christmas. Good gracious. So, but yeah, hi. Got a couple people in the YouTube chat. Got folks on the website chat. Hello, what's up, Mersh? By the way, you're coming over very quiet. I mean, I'm almost peeking into the red, so I don't know what to tell you. It's not something that I can control on my end, I don't think. I mean, I can hear. Now I'm as loud as I can possibly be. Do you do focused breathing for calming? Sometimes. What I've learned is that breathing in activates your nervous system and breathing out kind of deactivates your nervous system. So what I'll do is I'll take like a big deep breath in and then I'll just really slowly breathe it out. Because that can kind of force your body to calm down somewhat, but it's still like I don't know. It's like it needs to be more systemic, but it's just hard. So what's up, Kitty Tick? Hello, Viren. There's Obsis. Allison, we got Sam. Hello. Yeah. As far as I know, like, I mean, it looks to me like I'm at the same volume as usual, basically. So, ooh, that's a good point. Playing wind instruments is good for managing anxiety for that reason. Ooh, I like that. And when you do yoga stretches, like the yoga lady that I have learned a lot from on YouTube, she does a lot of like breathing with the movement, which I think is good too. Yeah. What's up, Coin? Tai Chi is another great relaxer. I don't know anything about Tai Chi. What I really want is to get out and go walking more because it's like, it's good exercise. It's a mindfulness thing. It's calming. I just don't live in a great place for like walking. Like, it's so funny that this is the case. It's like if you want to work out, you have to drive to the gym and then work out. Or if I want to go for a walk, I have to like drive to a place that's good for walking. So I'm like, yeah, I'm looking forward to moving and being like in a place where, maybe still I need to drive a little bit to get to a place that's great for walking. But, ideally, the ideal situation is that you live within walking distance to like a park. And so you can just walk to the park and then walk around in the park. That would be ideal. Yo, Moss living room TV version. Mm. So yeah, I'm on the struggle bus a little bit. And my heart palpitations have been so weird for the last like 3 days. Although I did load up on salt earlier, and like I'm wearing compression socks, and I think that combo has helped. Just like absolutely loading up on salt. Do we have any other potsies? We only have like 20 people in the chat. I did not give this stream a good name for getting lots of people in here, but that's partially because I was like, I'm unaware of any news that we really need to talk about. Obviously, people on Blue Sky are still bitching about Jesse Singal. But like we stream twice a week, and sometimes there's just not a lot of news. Does anybody have any recommendations for news that we could talk about today? Yes, the crappy part about America is that most of it is not walk friendly. Thanks, Ford. High five. Thanks. I just got back from my hot girl mental health coffee walk. Nice. I'm taking a little break from coffee. I already drink decaf because of my heart stuff, but I'm temporarily off coffee because I'm trying to see if maybe I have a lactose thing. And I'm kind of also taking a break from gluten just to kind of see, because I've been having some digestive issues. And I'm like, am I finally losing my lactose tolerance? Or, um, you know, what about the military passing the new policy on trans people? I didn't see anything about that. Hold on. I mean, I know that Trump is poised to reinstate the ban, but I have not seen anything recent about this. Tell me what I need to look up, or give me a link or something. Katie Tick is giving us an update on her trying to get bottom surgery thing. Speed run strats. Finished my second letter on Friday and have an appointment with my primary on the 26th. Planning on being the squeaky wheel once my letters are over to the urologist because I already been forwarded to them, just had to go follow the rules, but mental health more difficult to find than physical, as always. The therapist I got my second letter from really helped me connect better with the queer community near me. I suck at networking, and she was just like, here's where we are. Nice. Nice. Yeah, I am going to be so terrible at coordinating community stuff, but I want to. I want to participate in the community more when I move. Did you hear the puberty blocker ban in the UK has been made permanent? I did, but I also feel like we've been I feel like I've covered that same exact news over and over again. Like, why is it more permanent now than it was the last time I covered it and they said they were making it explicitly not accessible? You know? And like the last time I talked about it, they were like, okay, well, not only are we not allowing you to get this on the NHS except through a clinical trial, and then they were also saying they were going to like start cracking down on families who were accessing the care through private means like Gender GP or online services. So I'm like, why is this like, it just seems like I've been covering the same thing from the UK like every couple of months. Oh, it's definitely permanent this time. Oh, it's definitely bad this time. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know what makes this different. I guess them just saying like, oh, and by the way, we've decided we're not going to fix it. Like we've decided that we're definitely not going to backtrack on this. We've got Mitch McConnell news. You know, the only thing that I've seen from Mitch McConnell in the past week is that he published a letter about polio. And it was like very clearly directed at RFK and his anti-polio vaccine stuff. And Mitch basically saying like, I could have been permanently disabled because I got polio before the vaccine. And it made such a huge difference to friends, to like families at the time. Okay, Wall Street Journal. I don't know if I can read Wall Street Journal. Okay. Hi, Gay Fish. The policy about trans care on the military's dime. Basically, if your parent is in the military, you now can't get your trans kid care that, quote, might sterilize them, which includes hormone blockers. Is this passing under Biden's administration? Like, who? Yeah, I can't read Wall Street Journal because it requires a subscription. Absolute king of too little too late. That's true. That's Mitch McConnell for you. Yeah. Polio vaccines would have made Mitch McConnell stronger is not a great argument. Sure. Yeah, yeah. I just like that's the only news I've seen about Mitch McConnell in the last couple of weeks is that he seems to be resistant to things that Trump plans on doing. Ooh, okay, hold on. Let me see. Yeah, okay, so okay, I think I see an article about this defense bill banning care for trans care stuff. He always seems to be resistant. Sure, yeah. Got AP News. Okay, so this is a House bill. Has it passed, or... I'm reading. I'm trying to read. So the House has passed this bill. I think it still needs to go to the Senate, and then it would have to be signed in. Dude, fuck these 81 Democrats voting yes for this bill, though. Yeah, the Senate will have to vote on it next week, and then it will be sent to Biden, who would need to veto the entire package if you wanted to block the trans care element. This NBC News article says if the NDAA is signed into law, it would mark one of the first times Congress has aggressively attempted to pass a federal statute targeting trans people specifically. Yay. And how big is this? It's like oh my God. It's $895 billion budget. How? I don't understand how we're spending that much money on just our military during a time where we're like ostensibly supposed to be like not directly engaged in any global conflicts right now. This bill is going to make the military work, and without it, the military stops till new spending passes. Yeah, I mean that happens every couple of years. I've known at least one military member who's like, yeah, like there are periods of time where you just are not allowed to work as a military guy because you're like not getting paid. My congressman voted yay in committee, and then only when it was clear it had enough votes to pass the general, made an impassioned speech about trans care on the floor. Fuck Adam Smith. Fair enough. Mersh says the capitalist health system would love the idea of delaying gender-affirming care. If you think about it, waiting later, going through the wrong puberty will require more expensive surgeries, etc. In adulthood, it's more profitable for doctors and the medical industry to delay care in the long run. Yeah, I mean, it's insane to me that these people will say stuff like, oh, it's big pharma, these kids are being funneled into this system where they're going to be paying for lifelong care. But like, if you give people preventative care, then they don't have to spend as much money on corrective care later, which is probably true of like every single aspect of medicine. But yeah, so like if you don't cover preemptive care, you will pay more for other shit later. So like, yeah, if you give a trans boy puberty blockers and he never grows boobs in the first place, then he doesn't have to pay $15,000 for top surgery later and take time off work and all this other stuff that like hurts the economy. Genuinely, like it hurts the economy, and it does pad big pharma's pockets even more, funnels more money away from people who can spend it on other shit. Like that's the thing about healthcare being a for-profit system, is like it's bad for every other area of the economy. You're dumping a bunch of money into surgery or whatever. You have to pay for your own wheelchair, for example, and then you are not able to spend that money on buying a house or buying more Christmas presents. Like these are things that benefit the economy as a whole, whereas it seems to me like money that gets funneled into the healthcare system only benefits the people at the top of the healthcare system. It cost $150 billion to develop the newest aircraft carrier, and then each unit costs $20 to $40 billion. And that's without planes, personnel, or other equipment and arms. Love it. Our wildly overinflated military. Good stuff. Nikki says, I heard a wild figure. The NYPD has a budget as big as Ukraine's defense budget. Yeah, $14 billion a year is the budget for the NYPD, just based on the statistics that I've been seeing floating around. So for one city, and granted that's a city with a pretty high population, but still more than an entire country's defense budget. It costs almost another $20 billion to equip a aircraft carrier, with an annual cost of $1 to $2 billion in maintenance, plus paying 10,000 people between A and B crew to sail the boat, and we have 11 carriers. Love that. Love that for us. Oh, man. Hey, there's 50 people in here, and there's only 22 likes on the video. Could you please hit the like button, please? And Ukraine has 4 times the people of New York City. Does not surprise me. Yeah, $14 billion in the NYPD budget, and they couldn't find one guy. Ugh. Let's see. Has there been any more recent news about Luigi Mangione and his case? I know that things tend to go pretty slow. I think he's fighting extradition. So he's been apprehended in Pennsylvania. New York wants to extradite him to New York to charge him in New York, but he's fighting extradition. Yes, we're talking about government misspending. Hello, Nethercat. So we have, I guess the only thing that I've seen that's new about Luigi is just memes. Like, I was talking with my friend Silent on Blue Sky last night, and we were talking about how, like, it's fascinating that, like, we have, like, you know, shooting related incidents in this country every day, like numerous times per day. We have mass shootings basically every day statistically. But like thinking about the public reaction to mass shooters versus the public reaction to Luigi Mangione, it just is interesting how, and the way that I phrased it was basically like mass shooters have incel energy, whereas CEO shooter has like Chad energy. Yeah, and that people are like fantasizing about this guy and frankly sexually harassing him on like a pretty massive scale. But, you know, it's just interesting. And I saw another commentator saying that it's kind of funny in the aftermath of the shooting that there hasn't really been any like, oh, why would you want to do this? It's pretty clear why you would want to do this. And the conversation is mostly about whether it's ethically correct to take this action or whether it's effective to take this action. Not really any, like, not really so much of a broad conversation about, like, you know, is this justified? You know, it kind of seems like everybody feels like this level of response is somewhat justified. It's just a matter of, like, whether this is effective or not, you know? Like Rebecca Watson posted a video about there have been some studies done on violent protest versus nonviolent protest. I'm saying protest and I mean that very broadly, but like, you know, nonviolent action versus violent action in that context of like retaliating against the system, whatever. And it seems like nonviolent action is very effective. But that is not to say that violent action is not effective. That there have been instances where both have been fairly effective. But obviously, it sort of depends on what the goals are. And obviously, violent retaliation tends to have like a knock-on effect where there's like bystanders who get harmed, like innocent people who get harmed, which seems pretty clear. But then again, obviously, we're talking about what is an effective means of retaliating against a system in which innocent bystanders, quote unquote, are being killed every day through systemic inaction and social murder, you know? Wow, Canada's police budget is $17 billion for the whole country. Wow. Did not know that. If the corporations could, they would paint the guns and planes pink to raise the cost for the pink tax. True. He isn't to be pictured in the New York Times. Did you hear about the mom who went to jail for quoting Luigi to Blue Cross? The people raised money to post bail for her. I did see the initial news. I did not see the update that her bail had been raised. Are they actually going to let her out? I thought maybe I read that she was not being offered bail. Or maybe that was Luigi. But yes, it's crazy too seeing like, okay, let me pull this up actually. Okay. Memes are the focus of 21st century conflict. True. She's out on bail with house arrest. Okay. Uh, so yeah, like, whoa. Um, this woman is a mother of three. She was arrested because while she was on a phone call with Blue Cross Blue Shield, who were denying her medical claim, she said, delay, deny, depose, you people are next. And then she got out on $100,000 bond. So it's interesting that this proves that, like, when your stalker threatens you, or if you receive like graphic death threats and the police are just like, well, we can't do anything until something violent actually happens. Like, no, it turns out that they've just decided not to help people, because this woman just, she didn't even say, like, it's interesting, like, what counts as a threat? I obviously would be very careful with, saying anything along these lines. But if you just say, if you say something like, someone's gonna burn the building down, if you say something kind of loose, I am not sure if that constitutes a direct threat, or like, I guess it ultimately, I'm sure it just depends on the discretion of the judge or the police or whoever is sort of arbitrarily deciding what counts. But for her she said, delay, deny, depose, you people are next. Your next could mean anything, right? She said she doesn't own a gun, but she was basically being charged with conspiracy to conduct a mass shooting or terrorist attack, essentially. Yeah, people on Twitter were sounding off on their own issues with the cops not helping in very obvious violence against them. If you say lots of violent metaphors, it can seem threatening. Yeah, saying you're next, yeah, I mean, that definitely comes across as like premeditation. Definitely, if you did something violent after saying you're next, then they could very easily peg you for premeditated violent crime. Also, $100,000 has been raised for Luigi's defense fund. Nice. Obza says that this woman is currently out of jail, but there are two sources. One saying the charges were dropped, another saying her next court appearance is in January. Do not see any news reporting on this update. Ellie says, I've been hate crimed and had so much shit happen to me and the cops don't do shit. Yeah. It's because, like, again, like the position of cops in our society is not to protect people. They protect capital. They protect property. Oh my gosh. No one wants to live in a society where every problem is solved by violence. Part of the reason violence becomes effective is because it signals that people are done messing around and the nuclear option is actually on the table. And it's not in an individualized manner, so it's not like it can be hand-waved as one lunatic. Right. Yeah, like, we don't want to live in a society where violence is routinely the way that we problem solve, right? I think that that's fair. Anyone can say, I mean, obviously if you're a fascist, then yeah, you're like, I want to live in a society where violence is kind of the go-to response. But for most people, you're like, I don't really want to live in a society where we routinely solve problems this way. It is a symptom of a broken society when people resort to violence, and it's very much a symptom of a broken society if people cheer that violence on. And it really does show that there is something deeper going on. But like, if we had a justice system that actually provided justice, if we had a healthcare system that actually provided healthcare, instead of like middlemen companies slapping the name healthcare on their face, like just a sticker across their face that says healthcare, but they're mostly in the business of denying healthcare, standing in the way of people's medically necessary treatments. Like I've seen so many things recently talking about like, yeah, my mom died because care that she needed was declined. I know someone whose husband died of brain cancer, and the specific kind of treatment for the brain cancer was denied for like 18 months. And it's like people are just wasting away. It's not like you can just get the care anyway and then the insurance will pay for it after the fact. That's not really how it works. Yeah, Absa says the threat is against capital interests. Nobody was at further risk due to the threat. Unlike her and her family, who were at a massive increased risk of being denied the health care they pay for. It's like the riot is the language of the unheard. Like, you might as well just say, like, violence is the language of the unheard. I was the focus of threats as an undergrad in college. The college and the police told me they could do nothing about it. I took care of it myself without hurting anyone physically, other than beating the crap out of them. No hospital visit needed. I got interviewed by police afterwards, but nothing came of it. Unfortunately, that's what it took to stop the problem back in the early 90s. This was before the internet was a big thing. I was sent threats in the mail. Wow. That's like I know where you live shit. Oh no. I left my water in the other room. I'm gonna grab my water real fast. I'll be right back though. Don't go anywhere. Hit the like button while I'm gone, okay? Love you. Okay, I'm back. Left my water in the other room after I filled it up. Hail hydrate, my loves. Mm. That one does not have as much lemon in it. Fesh says, I don't think society is possible without violence because there will always be people who want to do violence, regardless if they have power or not. And we will either bow to them or use violence to defend ourselves. Yeah, and I don't disagree that, like, some amount of violence is always going to be there. It's just a question of, like, are we routinely using violence to solve problems? And, like, that's our go-to answer, you know? Like, but that's the thing, is that violence comes after a usually fairly protracted bureaucratic process where, people are like, let's vote, let's try to lobby, let's try to convince people to change things. Let's go protest, let's block roads, let's do sit-ins, let's send a bunch of letters to the whoever, and I've seen a bunch of things popping up recently that are like, here's how to basically force your insurance company to cover your shit by like requesting that they give you detailed documentation about why they denied your claim and like who was the medical professional who determined that this care was not necessary, and is there proof that that medical professional has the most up-to-date like, because doctors are required to have continuing education, like the most up-to-date education, and like a lot of insurance companies will just approve your shit instead of providing all that, because in reality, most of the time there isn't actually a medical professional who determines like, oh, well, this care doesn't seem medically necessary, so we're going to stop it. It's like what the new CEO of United Healthcare said, like, well, what we do is we're here to prevent people by preventing them from getting procedures and stuff that they don't actually need. Like, I think what you're saying is me next. It kind of sounds like is what you're saying. You're saying, ooh, me next. We've been living in a society what solves things through violence this whole time. The police and by extension, the whole legal system and government get their power through violence. Oh yeah, no, you're not wrong. Absolutely. And that's again like this is kind of what ended up selling me on anarchism was like Abigail Thorne and her video about violence talking about how like the police and states absorb all the violence into themselves. Like the violence that they do is legitimate and justified, and you are not allowed to do violence without them instituting violence on you. But like as an anarchist, this is something that I think about a lot is like how do you like one of the biggest things that bothers me as an anarchist, and this is like gonna seem kind of unrelated, but conservation. Like, how do you prevent people from overhunting or overfishing or foraging something to the point where it doesn't grow back the next year? You know, like obviously you can create mutual understandings within the community, but like then if somebody breaks that, if somebody does like an unethical practice within that scope, how do you enforce that? And like that's also leaving aside the idea of like how do you enforce things like this is my farm. I am the one who built it. I'm the one who grows all the food, and if somebody wants to encroach on my territory or steal things from me, like if somebody tries to do a violence on you, then violence is kind of the only way to respond. It's just that like in this society, if someone wants to do a violence on you, like you can't respond without also being worried that your retaliatory violence will be considered a crime, and then the police will do further violence on you by kidnapping you and caging you or even killing you potentially. So yeah, it's like how so many victims of domestic violence, when they finally fight back against the person who's been like beating them or threatening their children, like they end up in prison. Like so many women end up in prison for fighting back or killing the men who were threatening them and their children. Like, okay. So it's and it reminds me a lot of the whole bullying thing where I feel like this is one of the most ADHD track of thought that I've done on this stream ever. Sorry. But like also with bullying, the bully is kind of it's like, oh, well, we can't do anything. We can't do anything. We can't do anything. And then you punch the bully back one time and suddenly you're getting an out of school suspension. Like what the fuck? They'll never admit that your claim was denied by AI. Exactly. Yeah. Like obviously that would be that would be immoral if not illegal or some kind of criminal negligence. Like if your case wasn't even reviewed by a human being. I became aware of the phenomenon of insurance companies approving surgeries but not approving the anesthesiologist from reading stories right before my last surgery. No such instance happened to me, thankfully. Yeah, like you don't need anesthesiology. Like you don't need anesthetic during your surgery. It's fine. If you wake up halfway through your surgery, that's a good thing. Mersh says I tried to explain that the corporations are breaking the social contract that our constitution intended. These holes in our social contract uh, by running over individuals with corporations and discrimination is leading to violence and a reversion to the natural state. Um, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's like again like the natural state. I don't know. It feels like. I mean, I guess you could say that violence is like fairly natural in that many animals have to kill other animals in order to survive. But as far as social structures go, violence is aberrant, it seems like. Like, I was listening in on my partner watching a video about some basically like protracted almost war between I can't remember if it was chimpanzees or some other ape, but like for these factions which had previously been cooperative to be like killing each other, it seems random. You know, it's like why is this happening when social cohesion was working before? But yeah, I agree that we have a social contract, and the social contract, it's like the feudal contract. I was reading something else about this. The feudal contract is that you are a peasant and you work the fields and it was the chimpanzee war. Thank you. If you're a peasant and you work the land, uh, you know, you have some amount of freedom to move, or you know, what exactly you produce. You know, you could produce cheese, and maybe your neighbor produces wheat, and you do that in reciprocation for physical protection by the Lord and the Lord's like personal military, effectively. So if the Lord doesn't send out troops to protect you when there are raiders, that's a breach of the social contract. And you would be justified in being like, okay, well, I'm not going to send you any more taxes because that's what my taxes are fucking for. It's for protection under your fiefdom. And I kind of view the dynamics that we're in currently as like pretty clear. Like there's a pretty clear through line from one of those things to the other, where like, yeah, we are like born into a particular area that has a particular system of governance. And the expectation is that some of our basic needs are going to be addressed, like safety, by the system, and that it's a reciprocal exchange where like we provide taxes, we provide food, and the system is supposed to safeguard us to a certain extent. So when the social contract is in fact broken by the powerful caste and not by the lower caste, then there is no moral obligation on the lower caste people, like the peasants or the working class, proletariat, like whatever phrase you want to use to describe these people. It's not incumbent upon them to maintain their end because it's already ended. Thank you, Noah, for your tier 1 sub. I very much appreciate that. First donation of the day. Little $5 dono. You say caste weird. Maybe it's because I'm a reader. I think it's weird to pronounce it cast. Like, that doesn't make sense to me because that's a different word that is spelled differently. Yeah. Let's see. Let's add that $5. So, yeah, God, you guys, I'm moving in like a little bit over a month right now. Like, what is today even? Today's the 15th. So I'm actually looking at moving into a place on like at the end of January. So like basically trying to stay where I am as long as possible until the end of my lease and then move. And I think the last stream before I tear my desk down, which I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be. It's going to be sometime in January, but I might have that be like a big I might have that be like a big push, like a big fundraiser type moment. But I do appreciate any donations in between now and then. It's very, very good stuff because, oh my God, moving is expensive. You should live stream Moss on the Road. No, nope, sounds bad. Not gonna do that. Probably not gonna record. Probably not gonna take many pictures. Like, we're just gonna go until it's done. I know, yeah, exactly. English has no homophones. It's true. Mersch brings up, it depends on whether your foundation of the concept for the natural state comes from Hobbes or Rousseau. Mersch agrees with Hobbes that life is nasty, brutish, and short without a social contract. People will work for their own self-interest even if it is fatal to another without something regulating them for the most part. Rousseau believed the opposite. People were corrupted by government structures in his view and cause of violence, etc. I think the idea that that the natural state is for people to be nasty toward one another for the purpose of their own self gain is actually contrary to all evolutionary evidence that we have for social species like ours. Like, we didn't just evolve as individuals, we evolved as a social species. Many other species did not evolve as a social species, which is fair. Um, I don't know that, yeah, Zypation, I'm not sure if I'm going to get there before Inauguration Day, but it'll be around that time. But yeah, I'm just of the opinion that, yeah, um, like, yeah, human beings evolved, and the only reason we are the way that we are is because we have supported each other socially. You know, like, I strongly agree with the position that, like, the first indication of, like, modern human society is the first healed femur. Like, that someone broke their thigh bone and then it healed. That is the beginning of society. Like, that is the beginning of what we understand as a common mutualistic endeavor that we call society. Agree, we cannot boil humanity down to good or bad. It's a complicated conversation. There's evidence that humans cared for the weak, sick, and elderly as far back as Homo erectus. Yeah, let me get this, Homo erectus. I'm sorry. I'm so tired. Anyway, when we were still Ooga Booga people, we lived in small tribes that took care of their elders and disabled. They did better at it than we do in modern times. Right. And I think that partially it's because in smaller groups, there are more closely felt social ramifications. If the matriarch dies because she fell and broke her hip, like, that has ripple effects on everyone within that community group. Whereas if you live in a giant decentralized society, then someone's grandma dying is just like, well, it's just another grandma who died, and it only impacts like 5 people who knew her closely. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm exaggerating on the numbers. It's probably going to affect more people than strictly that, but you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, if you lose a strong young man, well, whatever, in our current society, he probably just worked in an office anyway. Whereas if you lose a strong young man in a tightly knit, smaller social circle, then okay, well, shit, that's one more hunter you don't have, or one more watcher you don't have. And it actually can harm the rest of the group in a pretty immediate fashion. I base my beliefs on witnessing situations like New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. I've experienced a few Lord of the Flies situations firsthand. People were behaving perfectly one day, the governmental structure broke down, and all Hades broke loose until the military and FEMA came in, unfortunately, to reestablish order. Well, so the question is, though, like, is our society a natural state? Like, these people are not acting in a vacuum. They're acting in a situation where suddenly resources are very scant. And actually, I'm really interested in the moral and philosophical implications of being pitted against one another by a system, like where the system puts you in competition against each other as opposed to having everybody's needs addressed. Like, all those people in post Katrina, it's not like that their behavior just emerged from nowhere. They grew up in a society where you have to pay money for things, and things that you need have to be shipped to you, and all these kind of things. Like, so I think that growing up with a government in place that has a violent, like, sword waiting to stab you or a gun waiting to go off, and then the removal of that suddenly in a situation where suddenly resources are very scant, I don't think that that's far from a natural state of being, to my view. Christians be like, being gay isn't natural, but their great, 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 great ancestor be like, Homo erectus. True. People are products of their environments and also a keystone species known for strongly altering and shaping their environment. Yeah, humans are a keystone species. Isn't that fun? It's fun. Jay says, if anything, people tend to bond and work together under hardship. Stuff like the purge is antithetical to humans. Right. Like in the purge, which I haven't seen, but I've watched video essays about it and stuff. Like, we usually are following protagonists who do not want to participate in the purge. We're following protagonists who are mostly interested in protecting themselves and their family members and their community from the purge. And and that still is a society where like there are rich and poor people, and poor people do stuff like offer themselves up to rich people to be killed on purge night so that their families will never want for money again, right? Like it's very not natural. But then again, like also keeping in mind in this conversation that if you're talking about what's natural to human beings and therefore like a justifying either like basically when we're discussing like the idea that humans are naturally violent, that is an argument that is used to justify something like a state or something like police, right? But like we have to be aware of the naturalism fallacy, which is the idea that if something is natural, then it's good, or if it's natural, then we need to address it on its merits in that way of like, okay, well, naturally human beings are going to fuck each other over, and so that is a justification for this system of governance or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Accidentally downvoted. How dare you downvote my video? Why would you do that? Kitty says, it's funny to me how society literally started on the backs of women, with them being the primary hunters by way of chasing the animals till they died, and men were largely the butchers and carriers in the hunting party. Yeah, that's fun. Some people think the current geological age is so shaped by humans that it should be called the Anthropocene. I thought that just is what it is called. um, I thought that just is what it is. In the Purge movies, the government literally send out hit squads and pay people to murder other people because human nature just isn't murdery enough. Yeah. Like the Purge, I think that it's the case in the movies that the Purge starts out pretty unpopular, right? And that it starts like you have to coax people into doing it. Mm. Even if humans are naturally violent and self-serving, press F to doubt, humans are also capable of learning and performing beyond lizard brain unga bunga shenanigans, and so should strive to do better. I mean, this is kind of the argument that gets used uh, regarding like sexual assault, right? The like people say like, oh well, men naturally crave sex and power, so of course they're gonna naturally like this is just an urge that they have. But it's like, okay, but we're sophisticated beings with brains and empathy. Like we have a programmed in empathy response that we evolved to facilitate our social systems. So, why shouldn't we expect that even if men are driven, which again, press F to doubt, even if men are so driven by the sexual urge that they would commit violence on another person. Like, we should expect them to understand the intensity of that violence. Like, rape and sexual assault are so intense that many people, particularly people assigned female at birth, will say, I would literally rather die than be raped. Like, which is why people fight back violently. Like, if someone tries to like rape me, I'm gonna take at least one of their body parts, even if I die in the process. Like, I carry a pocket knife, you know, like I carry pepper spray. I want to de-escalate any situation. And like, of course, most rape isn't stranger danger. Most rape is like somebody you know and somebody you're safe with, whatever. But yeah, this is the whole premise, is like people on the whole don't seem to rape. It's like a small percentage of men who are repeat offenders. And so there is something antisocial about them and about that behavior. You're the last of my major news sources who's not on Odyssey. I have no idea what Odyssey is. Anthropocene is a highly controversial and debated name / topic in science, and it's far from settled. Okay, cool. The women running down dinner might be why women today are strong runners. Well, my understanding of so basically estrogen is like the mechanism of estrogen means that women recover faster, which leads to more long-term stamina, which is why like men tend to perform better in sprints, but women tend to perform better in marathons. And this is very generally speaking. Like, obviously men can still run marathons or whatever, but yeah, something about estrogen means that the recovery time is fairly short. So it makes sense that the women would have been the ones running down, because their endurance, they have more endurance, they have more staying power as they go. Like, they require shorter breaks, people with estrogen, shorter recovery times. Congrats, Rainus. Not very far away from hitting affiliate on Twitch. I do want to look into it next year. I mean, I've looked into it a bit. If my internet is good enough at the place that I moved to, I want to try dual streaming to Twitch. I'll fucking buy Streamlabs annual whatever and write that off on my taxes and dual stream on Twitch, because it's really interesting. Like, you know, having the potential to reach an audience that I do not reach currently. And like, obviously that opens up another revenue source. But yeah, congrats on Twitch. Twitch has like weird rules though. Like, as soon as I start dual streaming to Twitch, I don't think I'm allowed to tell people like, oh, by the way, I have a website chat, because I'm not allowed to direct Twitch viewers away from Twitch chat. So, or at least I can't suggest that you go to one over the other. I guess I can say like, by the way, I also have a website chat, but I can't say, oh, it has custom emojis that you don't have access to on Twitch or whatever. It's so fucking weird. The longer the race, the better women do relatively. Yeah, yeah. $65 viewers, 49 likes. Ooh. Can we get to 69 today? I like it when we do that. I think there's a way of dual streaming through OBS Studio, which is free. Don't quote me on that, though. Yeah, but you have to, like, do some weird code thing or, like, install a... what's the word? You have to install a plugin, and then, like, the plugin doesn't have, like, a good privacy policy. So I'm just not... I've looked into it. Trust me, I've looked into it. and I don't use OBS Studio, the a lot of the stuff, as I understand it, from my website works with Streamlabs the best, and I don't want to make any more work for the web developer who like maintains my website, because she does a lot of work already. Like, I'm just gonna leave her alone whenever possible. Also, you will have fun on Twitch, you mean? Not saying out loud trans things, ducking under censors would be half the fun. I mean, I'll just mark my stream as having LGBTQ content, like, whatever. 69 is the funny number. The funny number. God, I need to cut my hair. Just looked at myself and I'm like, wow. My hair, it's like really long actually on the sides. I need to cut it. So, yeah, I don't know if there's any current updates on this woman who, her name is Brianna Boston. The woman who said deny delayed depose on the phone with Blue Cross Blue Shield. I don't think there's any updates on that. There's the military thing. Yeah, so the House passed a defense spending bill with a provision that bars the military's health program from covering transition-related care for minors. So this is like right-wingers attempting to slip. It's a necessary bill. This is the thing that these people always do. It's a bill that has to pass, or some kind of budget has to pass, in order for the military to keep functioning. And then they'll sneak this stuff into the absolutely necessary stuff. The state of the world just makes everything so depressing when you tune back into reality. I know. I'm having such a difficult time working on the video that I'm working on right now, because I'm just like responding to the documentary Will and Harper on Netflix. And I think that this is a balance that makes sense. Is like, I do one video essay that is more scripted and more, like, again, more like a video essay and kind of about whatever fiction I want it to be about. And then the next video is more off the cuff video about something maybe more loose, like loosely trans related. But I'm gonna struggle, I think, every time with talking about trans related topics, like the documentary Will and Harper. It very much taps into the anxiety, and I'm sure that maybe it doesn't even hit this way for a non-trans person watching it, but for a trans person watching it, it taps into like all of the anxiety that you have for like trans Americans, of like, this country doesn't seem to want us in it, and that fraught tension of like, wanting to just be accepted as a person, but having to worry about being physically harmed. It's just so difficult. So that video is taking a little bit longer than I meant for it to. Also because I just had like weird health shit happening the last couple days. Like, I had like weird heart palpitations starting like Thursday. So it's better now though. So I think like, yeah, I just need to load up on salt and drink lots of water and I'll feel better. But for the trans stuff, like, yeah, I think that it's a self-preservation thing to tune out and not pay attention to it. Yeah, that little car is a fun emoji. They were just living up to the Blue Shield part of the name. True. Kitty says the best ultra marathoner for 90% of the time since the sport started has been a woman. The world record for farthest run in 6 days is held by a human woman, and she ran 560 miles. A man currently has the record for longest continuous run. He ran 570 miles in 6 days. Like, didn't sleep? Like, continuous, didn't sleep? Jiminy Christmas. What's up, Mira? Yes. Clicking the like button as soon as you come in. Or if you don't like the conversation, hitting the like button as soon as you leave. Because even if you don't like it, someone else will. And the like button tells YouTube to show the stream to more people. No sleep for 8 days. Jesus Christ. Just running. Just constant running. No sleep. That sounds bad. Feels bad, man. Oh my god, guys. I'm so sleepy. I feel like any record requiring self-harm in the form of not sleeping for that long should not be tracked. Yeah, like, let's not incentivize people to do stuff like that. Like, if you feel like doing it, that's fine, but let's not, like, celebrate you. Oh man, first of all, Brianna Boston, you made a mistake talking to the police. Police made contact with Boston at her home in Lakeland, where she reportedly admitted to using these words during the call, telling detectives that, quote, healthcare companies played games and deserved karma from the world because they are evil. Boston reportedly told detectives she used the phrase because it's what's in the news right now, and that she had learned of the phrase due to the United Healthcare homicide. Boston added that she does not own any firearms and is not a danger to anyone. Based on Boston's statements, investigators said they believed she meant to threaten the insurance company by using the healthcare CEO's homicide to her advantage. She was charged with threats to conduct a mass shooting or an act of terrorism. The judge set her bond at $100,000, stating, "I do find that the bond of $100,000 is appropriate considering the status of our country at this point." So basically just stating outright that you're setting her bond crazy high to dissuade people from taking things back from fucking billionaires. Ankle bracelet because, quote, danger to community is so wild. Which community is that? Yeah. I mean, oh my God. I hate that I'm about to do this, but so we just watched Avengers Age of Ultron for the podcast recently, and Ultron says, you say you want peace, but I think you're mistaking peace with quiet. And I'm like, he's fucking right. He's just another villain who's right, except that he just becomes a mass murderer for no reason. Like, you need it's the fucking Martin Luther King quote again of like preferring like a negative peace to positive justice or whatever the fuck he says. I know it's such a good line, but basically like people tend to want things to just be quiet and normal. And like, okay, oh god damn it, I can't talk about that. God. I can't wait until I have a more private office and I can talk about TV shows that I've watched that people I know have not watched. But yeah, like this happens with a lot of superheroes where I'm like, is this superhero going to recognize that they are enforcing the status quo? And like I was just having a conversation with my partner. Like I think that most superhero stuff, and that's DC and Marvel, I think most superhero stuff is neoliberal propaganda. It's neoliberal status quo propaganda. Like every single movie or whatever has to end with things going back to normal. Like, the villains are always the ones who want to change things, and the superhero's job is to keep things the same. And it's like, how can you reckon with keeping things the same in the midst of like all this, like, death from social murder, the impending bearing down of climate change, like, and like Abigail talked in her video about how climate related protest action is uniquely nonviolent, and that seems contrary to the severity of the issue. Like, that the severity of climate change kind of calls us to violent action to protect the environment that we all live in, like to protect the world, to protect the planet. And like, why is this kind of action demonized? Well, because the system is made to protect profit. Yes, thank you for actually bringing me the quote, because I can never remember. Preferring a negative peace, which is the absence of tensions, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice. That's the MLK quote. Ah, yes, I am making an example of her instead of sentencing her proportionally to her crime, you see. It's biblical in a way. Lucifer was cast from heaven for wanting to share the wealth of heaven with everyone. Right. Like, why is Lucifer the bad guy for being like, I don't actually know much of the story. So, like, if just going off that premise, like, for Lucifer to recognize that there's like preferential treatment and stuff happening, or that like human beings are being given free will and angels aren't, or whatever, like, there's a lot of different versions of that, I think. God, Blue Sky sucks right now. I feel bad. It's like a bunch of cool people have left the platform and stuff over Jesse Singal, or everyone's still bitching about Jesse Singal and like the bad way that like people are handling this. And I'm like, let me just navigate to the gardening feed and just only consume gardening content. That sounds great. I got a sci-fi book recommended by Rebecca Watson recently, specifically about a near-future society that responds to climate catastrophe by considering future people as having equal rights to today's people. And it's 500 pages of the nitty-gritty of people trying their best together. Ministry of the Future. I think that I watched that same video where she recommended that at the end. I think that was her video about uh, violent versus nonviolent action. Who's Jesse Singal and what happened? Jesse Singal is a polite Nazi. He does very much that whole like, I just have genuine concerns about the trans community. He has written pro pedophilia stuff in the past. He signal boosted and basically published. So you guys remember in Missouri, there was that receptionist who worked in a doctor's office that was providing care to some trans youth. She like broke ethics by publishing private information of teenagers, and Jesse Singal signal boosted that. So he has directly put children in harm. He harasses trans people by quote tweeting them to his massive audience. He's very much just like a just asking questions Nazi. It's not good stuff. And Blue Sky have been like going out of their way to accommodate his existence on their platform for some reason. Blue Sky literally said that coordinating off-platform harassment wasn't against their TOS, so Jesse Singal can stay on to direct harassment to trans people. Well, yeah, and like that's against other actions that they've taken, because there have been other actions where they have addressed harassment that was occurring off-platform. So it's like they're being inconsistent with applying their TOS, which I think is part of the big frustration that people are having. Nice, kitty. Got a coupon for my favorite plant nursery. And I'm going to get so many plants. Hell yeah. They changed their TOS now that the resist libs are there and they don't need the T-slurs to keep activity up. Which is funny too, because so many of the people who follow Jesse Singal are like tiny accounts who don't follow very many accounts either. So it seems like they don't really intend to stay anyway. So are they going to sabotage their primary user base for the sake of users who don't even actually want to be there? Yeah, growing and being a good company seem mutually exclusive. And now people are talking about potentially making an exodus to some other social media. I've seen Doe posting constantly about Mastodon or the Fediverse in general, which is interesting to me, but it would be nice if we didn't have to keep jumping from one to another. Like, I'm basically just now not getting on Twitter regularly. I still check on it, like, maybe once a day, because it's like, okay, what is there any news? What are people talking about? But I don't like post on there. I don't really even retweet stuff. When was the last time I retweeted something? December 11th. Opsis, thank you so much. $20 dono. Oh, by the way, we are doing box today. So we're now a quarter of the way to the goal. I'm very excited to share with you what's in the box. To the extent that if we don't get to it today, I will leave it in there and we'll get to it on Wednesday. I love Doe, but Mastodon is not a solution for the same reason people don't use Linux. Yeah, like, I don't want the Apple of social media, but I also don't want the Linux of social media. Can we just have the Windows of social media where things more or less work and many things are compatible with it, and it's not like baby's first computer, but also isn't like I am a tech person who has to build my own fucking website? Like, yeah. Blue Sky needs to look at what happened to Tumblr. What did happen to Tumblr? I'm like, I never really was on the Tumblr bandwagon, so I kind of don't get it, I guess. I don't really know how Tumblr's doing nowadays. Ooh, yawn. Oh, Tumblr died when they got rid of adult content. Yeah, the thing that sucked about that too was that there were people who were documenting their medical transition, and it was like supposed to be okay according to TOS. It's like, okay, if you're posting these pictures for educational content, it's supposed to be okay. So somebody who's posting about their transition for educational reasons should be okay. But someone I know whose blog was explicitly educational was taken down off of Tumblr. So yeah, I can definitely see how that fucked over the website. I forgot that they did that. The primary function of social media is to be social with media. The number one draw to any social platform is the user base. You can have the best infrastructure, the best mod team, the best rules, best everything, but it doesn't matter if nobody's using it. And people don't want to learn an entire new way of using the internet to keep posting tweets. Yeah, I get the impression that it's easier than people think. The whole Mastodon thing, but that it is still like, if it requires more effort than me giving you my email to sign up, that's a bigger hurdle than most people are going to be willing to go with. Oh my god, you guys. I just need to complain really quick because it's happening right now. But like, I started a form of birth control that's, for a lot of people, it just makes you not have cycles anymore. And then I started to feel like, oh, okay, maybe I'm finally starting to see this no cycles thing after the breakthrough period. And now I'm having like cramps and bleeding again, and I want to kill myself. It's like, I'm just sitting here talking blah, 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 and then it's like cramp. And I'm like, okay, all right, I guess this is just my life now. Kill me, kill me, kill me, kill me. Tumblr still deplatforms and harasses trans folks. Yeah. Right, like, it's surprising considering how queer the fan base is. Like, how queer does the user base of your website have to be to avoid this kind of persecution? It's like, it seems like there is no, like like, Tumblr was made what it is by queer people. Blue Sky was made what it is by queer people. And yet, there is no sense of, like, loyalty to the customer base that built the fucking platform into what it is. Why have social media when anti-social media makes more money? True. Yeah, I'm not on Instagram. I have an Instagram, but I don't really post there, like, basically ever. Because I feel like I was just running into the same things where I was, like, trying to use it to signal boost my work and, like, you know, basically every social media I've ever been on except for Blue Sky, if you're a creator who is trying to link out to your work elsewhere, kill yourself, I guess, is basically the message that they're sending you. It's like, I don't give a shit about the fact that you are using this platform to, like, make money and live. Don't care. I love watching people make cool gadgets on YouTube. Yo, okay, so on YouTube, what I've been watching recently is this channel North of the Border who makes, like, creepy sculptures. Well, I mean, that's kind of the whole thing that he does. Sometimes he does ones that are less creepy, like he did a blue Hinox from Tears of the Kingdom, and it was just like, just a Hinox. But most of the time he does stuff like, I made Elmo crawling out of a TV like The Ring, and I made Bert and Ernie, but realistic. And, like, it's super creepy and weird. Yes, he makes tiny, nerdy things. And then also, I've been watching a lot of video essays recently because I'm making video essays, and I think that that's kind of spurring me to watch them. So I've been watching, like earlier, I was watching a video essay about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, and I like watched a couple ones about dragons and Aragon recently. Thank you, Max, very much for two, 5 tier 2 gifted subs. Wishing you much Yuletide cheer. Now, what's in the box? What's in the box? Yeah. Okay, that was a $50 donation. Thank you so much. That brings us up to $75 for today. So if we get 25 more dollars, we will find out what's in the box, which again, I'm very excited to show you. I should get better at wood turning and make videos out of that. Yeah. And I've been watching more movies. Like, I watched a bunch of video essays about the Hunger Games, which spurred me to watch The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which I hadn't seen before, and then I've rewatched The Hunger Games. Yeah, it's kind of cool how being a person who's like, I'm going to make video essays, now I'm, like, more interested in consuming that kind of content. Just, like, randomly. Even if it has nothing to do with the work that I'm directly doing. It doesn't have anything to do with, like, I have no plans to make a video about the Hunger Games, but it does fascinate me. So I'm going to watch content about that, even though I have I'm like, it's not going to influence whatever video I'm going to write because I don't have any interest in making a Hunger Games video. I don't know that there's anything I can say that hasn't already been said. Resin turning is neat, but I do not have the drive nor desire to spend that much money on epoxy. Each one of those videos uses like $200 of the stuff. It's ridiculous. Yeah, but all of that is, it's like, it's, you can write it off on your taxes if you use it for videos. But I feel that feels very similar to me to when I decided I was going to try to get into wood burning, and I bought a wood burning pen at the craft store just kind of randomly, which I still have that. And then I started looking up videos about how to do wood burning, and basically every single fucking person had a setup that was twice as expensive as the one I bought, because it was like, oh, basically like most wood burning pens are kind of like a soldering iron, where there's like this entire part at the bottom that you can't touch because this entire thing is heated up. So you're working with a kind of bulky thing from way back here, and it's hard to get very precise with that. So then you've got these like better wood burners that have like, they have a stationary thing that has to sit on your desk that like generates the heat, and that's where you control everything. Whereas like the pen that I bought, it's like you just kind of have a dial in the middle of the wire, and that determines how hot it gets. So these other ones, they're smaller, more pencil-like, and the heating element is only like about an inch long, so you get much closer. But yeah, I was just like, oh, okay, so I bought like a $60 pen, and it turns out in order to do this, according to these videos, is like you have to pay like $120 to get, and you have to, it has to be like a thing that permanently sits on your table. I'm like, I do not have a dedicated art space. That would be great, but I don't. I'm gonna make videos about how to avoid getting views. True. Resin does not turn satisfyingly like wood does. Wood comes off in neat shavings and chips, but resin just comes off in giant unbroken strings. Yeah. The nice thing about my lathe setup is one of the cheaper but still decent ones of its size, and I can fit it on a tiny ass porch, so I can make it work in my apartment. Nice. Sounds a lot like airbrushing too. Is it the same where you could buy a cheap airbrushing brush, but then like everybody says like, oh, it's like that's super basic and you need a better one? Ugh. Hi, Turtlebird me. Welcome in. What's up? What's up? I don't think you need all that fancy stuff to start with. I was like, I went to watch like wood burning 101 videos, basic wood burning videos, and all of the ones that I saw had that fucking twice as expensive setup as what I had. And I'm like, okay, I guess there is no such thing as basic wood burning with the fucking pen that I bought at the store. I was just really frustrated by it. Ugh. Yawn. Dude, apparently Biden's been pardoning people who really shouldn't be pardoned right now. Uh, I don't know where the other one went, but this one is like Biden granted clemency to a woman who like stole about $4 million from a USDA program to feed poor children in Arkansas. Prosecutors called it one of the most egregious examples of fraud they had ever prosecuted, and yet she's being granted clemency. Why? That Joe Biden saying, me next, me next, me next. I think a lot of artists get seduced by consumerism and tricked into thinking they need expensive gear, but with most mediums, you really don't. Yeah, I mean, maybe in the difference is that I'm not trying to create like a fully shaded, beautiful art piece that you could tattoo it on someone's body and it would be fucking perfect or whatever. Like, I was kind of just thinking like, okay, if I do the thing where you print something and then you put a carbon copy on it and then you like transfer or whatever, and then you kind of just follow the outline with your pen, whatever. I don't know. I really look forward to someday having like a place that I can actually do art and not like, let me shove my keyboard back and try to make space on my desk. I think Biden is done giving a shit about seeming decent. Yeah, maybe. Katie says, my stream is going to be 3 days a week, hopefully with one day where I play video games, one day where I do a deep dive research stream, and one day I spend learning a skill or relearning something I used to be good at. It's important that I kind of suck at the beginning because the first step in being kind of good at something is sucking at it. I remember the 200 lumps of clay I failed to center before I ever made a pot. Yeah. How do you feel about him pardoning his son? I don't care. It's nepotism, but I don't care that much. What was Hunter even convicted of? Like doing cocaine? Like I don't care. I don't I don't need to keep track of every single thing that's happening, you know? I've been using a Harbor Freight airbrush and I'm perfectly happy with it. Nice. Nice. Good going. Hunter was convicted of having too big a dick. I know. Man, it's tragic. Can't just have a giant swinging dong in these days anymore. He lied on his gun application saying he was drug free. Okay, but why do you need to answer that question? Like, if you live in a state like where, for example, cannabis is legalized, I know that on the gun application you have to say, like, I don't do drugs, including cannabis. It's like, but why can you just not even own a gun if you smoke weed? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. You used to be able to have big dicks, but you can't anymore because of woke. These woke people saying you can't have a big dick is so sad. Tiny dicks only. Yeah, one of the biggest problems with tariffs is that it's going to make low-cost supplies and tools for any and every skill or trade and art supplies are made 90% overseas. Yeah, it's going to get so expensive. Nice, Mira. 3D printing is a lot of fun. We haven't been doing it as much recently because, again, we don't have a discrete space for 3D printing. So it's like, do I want to sit here and listen to a 3D printer for 12 hours? Kind of not really. I used to be able to have a big dick, then E made me happier. True. How close are we to the box? $25 from the first box. I'll open the first box when we get to 25. 25 more dollars. That's $100 for the stream. And then I have the second box also. He was also convicted for disposing of the gun improperly. He never even bought ammo. Wow. Cringe. My friend used to do wood burning stuff and her setup was very cheap. Still turned out good stuff. I think she focused on cartoon characters as opposed to realistic type stuff with a lot of shading. It turns out that I want to do like so much different art stuff. I do fiber arts. You've seen like I got most of the way through this morel mushroom, but I think I made it a little bit too tight, so I wasn't able to give it like the texture on the sides that I was going to give it. But it's like it's even hollow. Look at it. It's like a little morel mushroom. Obviously you've seen me do fiber art stuff, but I also like the idea of doing wood burning. I want to try painting. I want to become one of those weird people who has like bones and turns the bones into artwork. Like, yeah, there's so much stuff that I want to do. And I just need like the space to do it. So Hunter Biden was prosecuted for lying about being a drug user on a federal gun background check. He lied on his taxes. 90+% of people with these charges never see jail time except in extreme situations, but it was a very sweeping pardon. Basically, the two things he was in trouble for shouldn't be jailable offenses anyway. Even though it's illegal, he paid the taxes back and didn't shoot anyone. Yeah. I'm one of those people who has bones. If I tried to turn them into artwork, it would hurt. If you're working with bones, the dust is very dangerous. I mean, I wouldn't be like cutting into the bone for the most part. I'm mostly like, I enjoy when people put glitter and like they glue stuff onto the bones or like put the bones in a particular arrangement. Um, but of course, anything that's creating dust, I'm gonna either do outside or in a well ventilated space with a mask. People give me bones all the time, and I never asked for bones. Give me bones!
Oh,
Give
yeah.
them. And maybe I should post that on Facebook today. Like, hey, does anybody want to give me some bones for Christmas? Please. I'll take them. Thank you so much, Turtle Bird Me, for the $25 super chat. They say, what's in the box? Also, I really appreciate you, Moss. The world is fucked. Is Godzilla a dragon? I love my 3D printers. Yeah, for sure. Is Godzilla a dragon? Um, I mean, no. Godzilla is a kaiju. I think kaiju is not a dragon. I think they're different. Because dragons, yes, they can have 4 limbs like that, but they tend to use all 4 limbs for walking. They're not bipedal. And what does he have? Like a laser mouth? Like, wah, laser mouth? Not the same as fire. He's a sea creature. I think that he's a kaiju. Like, I think that it's okay for him to be a kaiju, and that's different than a dragon. But he does breathe fire, though. Really? Okay. Maybe it's like a different renditions of it do different things kind of thing. Speaking of bones, I found a human femur once. Oh my god. Okay, so that was our $100. Thank you so much for getting us to that goal. Just a reminder that super chats, I will not get them until next month, which is kind of a bummer, but that's okay. And also, YouTube takes like 30% of your money. Direct donations through the website. Old school Godzilla was a fire-breathing dinosaur and a hydrogen bomb metaphor. Okay. Animals just die and eat each other all over our woods. I have lots of bones. I have a graveyard. We have a black bear, a seasonal mountain lion, and some bobcats. All polite bebs. Ooh, nice. Okay. We find out what's in the box now. And I'm excited to show it to you because it's actually something that I made quite a long time ago. So this is a clay project that I did like I want to say my junior year of high school. It's a Zeppelin. So the assignment, strictly speaking, was to take 2 halves and put them together. So I had to poke holes in it so that it wouldn't explode in the kiln. And I also kind of originally assumed that I would be able to put something in the holes to like hang it, because this is a flying Zeppelin. This was just kind of based off of memory. But it's supposed to be like the Zeppelins that are from World of Warcraft, because I was playing a lot of World of Warcraft at the time. So let me get a picture up. Okay, here's one that looks like the one that I made. Oh my god, why is that picture so tiny? Why would you do this to me? Why? 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 Okay, I guess this is fine. So it's, yeah, you can see what I was going for here. Because it's like, it's got a ship on the bottom. You actually stand on the ship part and it just goes. This is just a solid piece of clay, I think. So yeah, that was fun. Little art project that I did back in the day. I always hated it when I just missed the Zeppelin. Yeah, cringe. So cute, but why is it never a mimic? Because I can't put teeth in there. It'll bite me. It's pretty heavy, too. I usually just have it propped on my shelf, like I have it leaning against something on my shelf so that it's, like, upright, you know? But it's a cutie patootie. I didn't used to be a fan of clay, but it was, like, a required portion of the art class, so I made this. And now I'm like, I have a greater appreciation for clay. You can make stuff that you wouldn't have otherwise. I like the idea of having, like, all earthenware dishes. Yeah, when you're trying to catch the Zeppelin in the game, you might see it start to depart, and you run, and you aim for the corner to see if you can still jump and catch it, and then you end up, like, falling 5 stories below. Yeah, that's part of why I like being on the Alliance, is that it's a ship, and so at least if you miss it, you don't die. But yeah, that was fun. My little Zeppelin. I am not gonna put it in my shirt like I did with the egg. So, but there is another box. If we get there, if we get any more donos, there will be another box. Lux just wants to be a hobbit. I mean, kind of. You know, finest weed in the South Farthing, and like farming and eating and relaxing. I mean, I don't know. I want to be a hiking person. I don't think there's any hobbits who go hiking. It seems pretty uncharacteristic for them to exercise. I think the only Zeppelin tower high enough to be a deathfall was fittingly the Undercity Tower. Yes, I believe you're right. Although, well, yeah, I guess they changed Orgrimmar a couple of times. Eventually, they changed Orgrimmar in such a way that the Zeppelins were taking off from pretty high up, I think. But I don't play Horde anymore, so I have no idea. I can think of 5 hobbits that went hiking. For some reason, Mira, the way that you said that just reminded me of like the youth pastor meme, where it's like, I can think of a guy who did such and such. Like, I don't know. It just, and I guess that's kind of fitting because there is a lot of Jesus metaphor bullshit going on in Lord of the Rings. Yeah, we get spontaneous bath time if we miss our ship on the Alliance. Yes, I believe they moved the Zeppelin Tower to be inside the city, and it used to be outside the gates. Oh my god. Hobbits love walks around and in the woods, just not far from home. Furthest is visiting, I want to call it Brandywine, where the Tucks are from. Yeah, they might, the Tooks, yeah, they might go over to Brandywine River. Anyway, nobody wants to talk about World of Warcraft. What if I became a WoWcraft streamer? What if we occasionally just had a stream where I'm like, and I'm questing on my priest, and I hate it, so I'm gonna do it while I'm talking to you guys because I'm annoyed. I could literally do that today. I could be like, hey, let's talk about whatever while I level my priest. She's level 24, and I'm struggling a lot because I have a lot of low-level characters that I've been leveling in like the same 3 zones, and I'm just getting really annoyed with it. So I think I decided that I was going to level her in Wetland for a bit, just because I haven't done that as recently as all the other fucking things that I've done. Bleh. Dude, I kind of do want to show off the incredible boob shirt that she's wearing right now, though. But that's it. That's all I want to... I just want to show off, like, what she's wearing right now. I play WoW Classic. I don't play Retail WoW because what the fuck even is that game? Okay, look at this titties. Tits for days. I love how she's a priest and she's wearing this shirt and it's like the best thing that I can get for her at this level. Look at that. Just look at the boobies. And the midriff, frankly. But yeah, that's my priest. This is my druid. Anyway. That was all. No more WoW. Alright, I'll leave it. I'll leave it. I wouldn't mind it, to be honest. Unfortunately, my computer needs a power supply, so watching some WoW has to suffice until I get my parts. Yeah, leveling a priest in vanilla. I'm like really considering just switching to healing dungeons with her, which I did do. That's the red Bloodsail Buccaneer shirt. I think that the shirt has something to do with Bloodsail Buccaneers because I got it in Dead Mines. Oh my god, I love MMOs. Bring it on. Yeah, if you say so. I'm just gonna have to turn off guild chat if I start playing on stream. Or maybe I should just kick up on a completely different server. Oh my god, dude. Ooh, 68 likes. Almost to 69. Mm. I'd go to that sermon. Exactly. Oh my god, so much of my hair is falling out right now. It's crazy. I haven't like cut my hair in several months, like the long part of my hair, but it's kind of remaining stagnant just because my hair is falling out constantly. We love to see it. Not really. It's pretty annoying, actually. I'm like, stop falling out. $69.8. There it is. 69. Yeah, it's the nicest number. Sorry, just pull. I take my hair down and I'm immediately like, I need to run my fingers through it a bunch and get rid of all the loose hairs. So curly. I think I've joked numerous times about becoming a WoW streamer. Like, I'm not saying that I wouldn't still have conversations with you guys and talk about whatever. I'm just saying that, like, in order to keep myself entertained, like, oh, let me just run around and kill things on whichever tune I feel like getting on. Get rid of some of these PayPal notifications so that when a new one comes in, I can actually see it as distinct from the other ones. Okay, there we go. 69 is also an ADHDer's nightmare. I have heard some people say that 69ing is the worst of both worlds. Like, it's distracting, I think. And that kind of makes sense. Like, you're trying to do a good job at doing the oral that you're doing, and that distracts you from being able to really fully enjoy the oral that you're receiving. Anyway, let me go ahead and update this. So if we feel like it, we can do the second box. Oh my god, Streamlabs, will you fucking load, please? Thank you. All right, now, so we're halfway to the second box if we decide to go ahead and do that today. I feel like if I'm in the receiving oral situation, I want to, it's Pillow Princess time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be doing work at the same time. It's fun in the sense that doing anything that you haven't done in a while is fun. But, like, yeah, I can see how it would be distracting, for sure. Drink some water. Mm. Water's so good for you, man. It's just, like, incredible. I can't go back to WoW. Too much history, too many hours, so many dollars. True. It's fun. So for me, okay, I've probably talked about this before. When my partner and I were first dating, we were a little bit long distance. Like, we met in person, but we were kind of long distance. So we would play. I had a dual monitor setup like I have now, and like on my main monitor, I would be playing WoW, and then on the second monitor, it was full screen Skype video call with my partner. And then when we moved in together, obviously we played WoW together a lot. So we quit for like more than 10 years. And then we've recently gotten back into it. So it's like for me, I'm playing this game with my partner, or even there are times where I'm playing a tune separately, or he's playing a tune separately, and we can still like talk to each other. Excuse me, we can talk to each other about it. I'm like, oh man, I'm in this zone and you won't believe what's going on right now. And he's like, oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, that was the same thing was happening to me earlier when I was on a different character in that same area. So it definitely, although like if my partner and I were to break up, I don't think I would ever be able to even look at WoW again because it just has such a deep connection there. OMG Lux, that was me and one of my last partners. We played Minecraft together while Skyping. Yeah, it's a social activity. And I kind of was missing out on how much of a social activity it was until I very recently joined a guild. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember that part of the appeal of this game is talking to people and like chit-chatting. But it is always weird to be like, I'm trans and I'm on like an MMO, and you never know when people are going to be like kind of hostile around that. So it's like I mostly just don't talk about myself. Like World of Warcraft is kind of nice because it's one of the only places on the internet where I am still anonymous, right? Like I'm Luxander everywhere on the internet except for in WoW, where I'm like I have all these different character names, um, like that are nothing like my actual name, and nobody knows who I am. And like the guild that I'm in has a Discord server, and I'm like, I don't think I want to join the Discord server because that then I lose some of that anonymity, even if maybe nobody there knows who I am, because it's like a bunch of fairly older normies who probably aren't on the kind of internet that I'm on most of the time. I play a couple MMOs and I rarely talk to anyone. Yeah, I don't like talking to people very much, but then I do it and I'm like, I actually do kind of like this. But at the same time, it's like when you are not willing to really fully talk about your life, you know, it's like a little bit weird. But it's definitely nice. I've been enjoying it. I'm not sure how much longer it's going to last. Like, we're going to go on a pretty long hiatus in January. So long that we might even get kicked from our guild. Even if we tell them that we're going to be inactive for a few weeks. And it's like, I don't know if we're going to get back into playing it. We mostly were playing it for nostalgia related reasons. But now it's like, oh, we're getting so close to being max level. And then there's a bunch of stuff that we can do at max level. So I'm foreseeing that we'll play it for at least another few months. $15 a month, you know, just devouring my money. It's basically the only money that I spend on entertainment, though, to be fair. So I feel like $15 a month for like hours and hours and hours of entertainment is not that bad. Now I want to play WoW. Damn it. Damn it, Janet. Hmm. I'm going to kind of open up my social medias and see if there's anything that we can talk about on the social medias, because I'm kind of really tired today. I don't want to have a super short stream, but I also kind of didn't want to stream at all today, so streaming for a short one is definitely better than not. TikTok ban imminent? Seems like TikTok ban is imminent. This Reuters headline says TikTok loses emergency bid to pause law that could lead to US ban. The ruling means that the short video app and Chinese parent company ByteDance must appeal to the Supreme Court by 19th January. I think it would be very fun um if The Onion bought TikTok. I think that would be very fun. Come play SWOTOR? No, thank you. I'm good. I just want to find a queer-friendly guild in WoW. I don't want to play SWOTOR. Oh, yeah, well, maybe we didn't want to see you either. How about that? I was just like, I'm tired and I don't have anything to talk about today. There's like nothing specific. So, under this law, TikTok will be banned unless ByteDance divests it by 19th January. The law also gives the US government sweeping powers to ban other foreign owned apps that could raise concerns about collection of Americans' data. The US Justice Department argues, quote, continued Chinese control of the TikTok application poses a continuing threat to national security. Sure, whatever. I think this is a bullshit excuse to just take out like a website that's disseminating information that the powers that be don't want you to know, but whatever. If you play retail WoW, I'm not going to play retail WoW. I love you so much, and I'm not going to play retail WoW. It's like, what even is this? Just even the graphics changes that they've made to retail WoW, I'm like, what? Like, this game does not even look the same. And I don't like that every place scales to like the level of like you can just go quest basically anywhere at any level. Don't like that. I liked earning it. I also don't like that there is no such thing as a PvP server anymore. I know that I'm going to lose a lot of you if I keep complaining about these things, but like there is no such thing as a PvP server on WoW, on WoW retail, and I don't like that. It's like part of the fun going through STV that anyone could kill you at any time. And like, oh, okay, yeah, I can turn on PvP for me only. Like, whatever. Go to a fucking PvE server if you don't want a PvP. Anyway, my partner got me into PvP big time. And it just like activates a part of my brain. Oh man, so I don't know if this is gonna mean anything to most of you. I'll try to explain it in a way that makes the most sense to everybody here. Okay, so I was playing on a character that can shapeshift into a tiger, and the tiger panther thing has like a specific move set that makes it quite powerful. Um, we were questing through this zone that is known for a lot of world PvP, including like very high level players killing low level players just for funsies. We were maybe around level 30, and the maximum level is 60. And there was a level 60 who attacked the priest that I was leveling with. And a priest is like it's a healer, but they can also do shadow magic damage. And they wear cloth armor, so they're very easy to kill. So this mage, who is a spellcaster, tried to like attack my priest, and I was on my kitty, and I like started opening all my attacks on this mage who was like double my level. And actually I hit him pretty fucking hard. And then he tried to freeze me in place and then jump away, which they can do. But my shapeshifter character, like if I shapeshift out of the cat form into my humanoid form, that breaks me loose of any like net or freezing effect. Like if something is frozen me in place, it pops me out of that. Like, so that it just was so funny to me that this mage attacked my priest, and then I was invisible, and then I came out of being invisible to like attack it, and it's just like boom, activated my brain. And he like tried to get away from me, and I was like, turns out, bitch, that you're playing against a fucking druid who knows what they're doing. And I got pretty close to killing it, just because the cat does a lot of burst damage and then has bleeds, and then like, yeah, again, you can't freeze me in place because I can just shapeshift out of it. Boy, I was like, it felt really good. PvP is awesome. I enjoy it a lot. And there was a similar thing where a rogue tried to attack me. A rogue, you know, they can turn invisible, and they have like dagger weapons, you know. And I have a move on my druid, my cat shapeshifter, that can like make it so that a character who is impacted by the spell that I cast, they can't go invisible again. So it's like this rogue tried to attack us, and I was like, "You want to bet?" And it's just, yeah, it's a big portion of why I play PvP servers, is because you never know when you're gonna just be able. Like, somebody tries to fuck with you, and you're like, actually, it turns out I'm gonna destroy you. This is part of why we're trying to get to maximum level is because so in WoW you have world PvP, which is just like I'm questing, I'm killing a bunch of bears to collect the bear pelts and get I'm trying to finish the quest and gain experience and level. And then you have this other area of PvP where you specifically go into a place that has a PvP thing, like a capture the flag or shoot, I don't there's got to be a word for this. What would you call it if it's like you're trying to control all 5 of the areas? It's not it's like capture the flag is you literally are trying to capture the flag and run back and forth across the zone, but like there's ones where yeah, you have to like occupy this space and then go capture another space and hope that the original one doesn't get taken from you. And if you control all a certain number of the spaces for a certain number of time, then you win the game. Um, but there basically isn't a vibrant culture of doing those battlegrounds at lower levels, which is kind of shitty. It's so sad to me. So it's like basically we can't do the primary PvP thing that we do. Battlegrounds and arenas. Arenas are like 2 versus 2 or 3 versus 3 versus like a battleground, which is more like 15 versus 15 in an open world situation. So yeah, I'm definitely like looking forward to leveling to max because it just gives you so many more opportunities to do PvP. I fear Lux will reach endgame and do streaming gank videos. Listen, I actually don't gank for the most part. Ganking is when you're a high level character and you kill a low level character. If for no other reason than it's actually considered a dishonorable kill in the game. And it hurts your ranking to do that. Which so I'm like, I don't even understand why people gank in WoW Classic. Because it negatively impacts your PvP ranking. As well it should. I think that having a game mechanic on top of the social mechanics is like, because, oh god, dude, there's this one zone where this rogue hangs out. He just hangs out invisible and then kills low level characters. And sometimes it's for hours. A few weeks ago, I was leveling in that zone in the middle of the day, like on a Thursday. It was like noon on a Thursday, and this rogue killed me. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? And then like 4 or 5 hours later, after my partner had gotten home from work, he was in that zone and the same rogue killed him. And I'm like, dude, how pathetic do you have to be that you're just hanging out as a max level character in a low level zone and just killing low level characters? Like it's basically a one shot. You like pop out of invisibility, you do one attack and then become invisible again. Like how sad do you have to be killing lobies? I am like, I enjoy the challenge of PvP. I want to have to fight for it. Like, I want to fight for that win. I want to feel like I'm directly competing against somebody who has, like, the same variety of moveset that I do. And, like, the challenge of knowing when to use the right moves and when do you run away and then go back invisible and then pop out again. Like, it's so good. And so it's just so sad to me by comparison when someone's like, yeah, I'm going to spend literally 5 hours of my day just hanging out in a low level zone to kill low level characters. Like, girl, please. What are you doing with your life at that point? Whatever. Mm. Speaking of that, I feel like I'm never going to finish the game Cats Are Liquid, which I've been playing on and off since like 2016 on my Steam, because I don't know, it's like it started out fun and then like the mechanics just kind of got out of hand and it's like a lot less fun toward the end of the game. But I guess that's how a lot of games are, i.e. they get harder and like less fun. Ooh. I'm looking to see if there's any news popping up from this past couple of days. I know the Canadian postal workers are on strike. It seems like the government might be about to pass a law to end the strike. I hadn't looked into that very closely. Hardest game I ever played was Isaac. I got all achievements in all DLCs, and I'm done now. No more rage games, thanks. Do you mean The Binding of Isaac? As far as I can tell, that game has like almost endless replay value. Wizard 101? I haven't heard of Wizard 101. This is interesting. I don't know that I have a lot to comment on it, but I just think it's worth mentioning. The Brazilian landless workers movement just seized a 500-acre farm owned by a real estate developer. 200 families are occupying the land and converting it to agroecological production. Their slogan is "Occupy to feed Brazil." This is the way forward for humanity, says the last farm. This isn't even a particularly notable occupation by MST standards. Over the course of 30 years, they've led more than 2,500 land occupations with 370,000 families on 18.5 million acres of land. That's cool. On the morning of this Monday, around 200 families from the landless workers movement, which is called MST because that's it's the Movimento dos Trabalho. Oh my god, I'm not even gonna try. Anyway, yeah. Well, because no wonder that I can't fucking say that. It's because Brazil speaks Portuguese, and I don't know Portuguese. That's cool though. Also, this is worth looking at this time of year. CDC's COVID heat map. Higher transmission is shown with deeper red. So the lighter pink areas have like less COVID transmission, but it's got reporting lag, so there's 7 days to get worse. But this is like, if this is from yesterday, that's showing us like the week following Thanksgiving, essentially. So COVID, not good right now, obviously. Wear a mask. Avoid going to Christmas, frankly. My recommendation. Someone in the comments says usually transmission begins picking up a month earlier than the holidays, and this is the highest increase in transmission in nearly 3 years. It is not typical in timing nor magnitude. Approximately 1 in 50 people are sick with COVID right now. Oh my god, excuse me. This is just funny. someone says, "Dear lesbians, how the fuck do you know?" And someone says, "You gotta imagine how you'd feel in later adulthood coming home and there's a man in your house and he's there like every day." Or how would you feel waking up on a nice sunny Saturday morning and there's a man in your bed? Someone had retweeted this saying, "Funnily enough, this is similar to how you need to know to transition." It's funny.
Hi.
This dude is a Chinese Elon Musk impersonator. And it's kind of crazy how much he looks like him. Like, this almost looks deep faked. I think the main difference is that this guy is thinner. Why? That's crazy. That's
Oh,
wild,
wow.
actually. No, shut up. I would love to wake up to someone in my bed. Yeah, just anyone, someone, anyone. It's definitely nice during winter to have someone in your bed who has a high metabolism, because then you're just like, ooh, my feet are cold. Guess what? I'm gonna touch you with my feet. Hundreds of items with thousands of synergies in Isaac. I think that my husband has like 2,000 hours, or definitely more than 1,000 hours in the Binding of Isaac. So, I mean, you know, shit happens. As long as you're having fun, it's whatever. I'm assuming at some point I'm gonna wake up half asleep and go to pee after I get bottom surgery and just piss all over my legs, just forgetting that you don't have like a thing that's gonna direct your pee. Report back. Let us know how it goes. Just like revert to being a toddler and sit on the toilet backwards. It's apparently not entirely uncommon for little kids to sit backwards on the toilet. It just feels more stable to them or something. I mean, maybe it has to do with them being so tiny. I know chat got quiet, but I'm getting quiet too, to be fair. I'm like scrolling Blue Sky and Twitter to be like, is there anything going on that we can talk about? Because I don't really have a plan, and I'm kind of tired, and I'm running out of stuff to talk about. We're only 2 hours in, and I'm like, okay, what else are we going to talk about today? I can talk about how stressful it is to apartment hunt and being like, okay, are we going to be able to find a place that's going to be willing to hire us or that's going to be willing to let us live there, considering that we don't have jobs secured there in that location? It's like, Jesus. I think sitting down to pee, no matter the gender, should be normalized, though. Apparently, it's better for your prostate to sit down to pee anyway, because you like more fully empty your bladder when you do that. No worries, kitty. It's all good. Yeah, we're getting to that time of year. It's the Christmas time of year. I think we've basically decided that we're just gonna do um stockings. Like we're just gonna do stockings. Maybe I think maybe I'll do like a Christmas dinner. Cause okay, here's the deal. I am not planning on streaming on Christmas. Just want to be clear about that. Christmas is a Wednesday, and I'm not streaming that day. I'm gonna, enjoy spending time with my family and stuff. So yeah, I could see myself making like spending some money on a nice like Christmas dinner. What do we feel defines a Christmas dinner? Like obviously Thanksgiving is kind of defined by there being a um there's like a turkey that's pretty typical for a Thanksgiving dinner. Obviously you've got like a mashed potato or scalloped potatoes, I guess. So, like a cheesy scalloped potatoes is a good thing on a Thanksgiving dinner. There's all these things. So, okay, I think that like cranberry sauce is unique to Christmas. That is not, you don't typically do a cranberry sauce at Thanksgiving. Um, I think Christmas, a lot of the time, you have a ham instead of a turkey. I know that some people do a ham at Thanksgiving, but like I'm just saying, typically speaking, what do people feel like is like necessary for a good Christmas dinner? What are you most looking forward to at Christmas dinner? And particularly if it distinguishes itself from Thanksgiving, you know? Yeah, ham seems to be a go to for Christmas. I've never made a ham. I think for the most part, when you buy them, it's like already cooked and you just warm it. And you can add stuff. Like you can add like brown sugar glaze or something, or put like bourbon on it or something. Chinese food. Yes. I know that it's like a Jewish tradition actually, isn't it, to have Chinese food on Christmas because everywhere else is closed on Christmas. It came from New York, like New York City, where like pretty big Jewish population in New York City, pretty big Chinese immigrant population, relatively speaking. And like, yeah, Chinese food places tend to be open on Christmas because they did not tend to celebrate it. And so, yeah, it's like a Jewish celebration thing. That's pretty cool. Yeah, we got some gifted subs earlier. A whole roasted pig. Wow. I don't even know where I would get a hold of a whole roasted pig. That sounds fucking delicious, though. Lamb? Okay. Do you have like lamb steaks, or is it like a full roasted lamb, like a whole thing? Yeah, scalloped potatoes are delicious. For years we did lasagna for Christmas. Oh, okay. Pickle surprise for what the fuck is a pickle surprise? I pre-ordered ribs and the whole spread months ago. Nice. Ribs for Christmas. What is a pickle surprise? Am I gonna I'm doing this off camera because I don't know what's gonna come up. Pickle surprise dinner. I don't think that's a real thing. I think you're pulling my leg. Thanksgiving dinner is just a ton of food. Christmas dinner is when you buy the most expensive cut of meat you've ever seen and make a Wellington or something. Ooh, Wellington? Ooh, I've never made a beef Wellington before. I don't know that I'm willing to do that, but I had a Japanese girlfriend once who liked Kentucky Fried Chicken for Christmas. Okay. Yeah, apparently that's because of ads in Japan. KFC became a Christmas tradition there. With lamb, it's a roast, so probably like 10 pounds. Just like veal, you have to enjoy it without thinking about it too much. I mean, yeah, whatever. I don't really have qualms with eating lamb or veal. I'm not Wellington do that. Yeah, true. Nethercat. My mom made enchiladas and tacos for Christmas. My dad refused to eat a turkey meal twice in a month. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense to me. I didn't do Thanksgiving dinner this year, so I could see, like, I could do some repeats. But, like, there's certain stuff, like, I think of deviled eggs as a Thanksgiving thing, but I don't think of them as a Christmas thing. But I still might make deviled eggs for Christmas anyway. So yeah, you could do a ham or a lamb roast or a pig, I guess. KFC, that's fun. But I'm just like talking about like if I cook. So like what sides? What sides are you looking forward to the most when you go to Christmas? Yeah, scalloped potatoes, delicious. I'm going the Chinese restaurant route this Christmas. We have an excellent one in my hometown. Nice. Nice. But yeah, I think I might cook a Christmas dinner instead of doing like of course I'm going to get some stuff for the stockings. We do stockings. But yeah, we're not really going to do big gifts this year. I might look into getting Chinese food for Christmas. Yeah. Like scalloped potatoes are really good. Cranberry sauce, fun. Green bean casserole. Yeah, I'm a big fan of green bean casserole. My partner is more partial to a um, just green beans with bacon and sugar. He's like, that's something that he prefers more than green bean casserole. I love green bean casserole. Home whipped potatoes with a 1 to half ratio butter and whipping cream to measure. Nice. Homemade rolls, delicious. Cassava bread. Ooh. Cassava bread. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's fat-free and rich in fiber, has a long shelf life of up to 8 months, and is a great option for wheat. It's like a paleo recipe. Coconut milk, cassava flour, apple cider vinegar, tapioca. Coconut flour, cassava flour, maple syrup, butter, and eggs. Okay. Nice. Green beans are okay, but can take them or leave them. Broccoli and cheese casserole, delicious. Usually with Christmas, I'm thinking about hors d'oeuvres and desserts. Okay, what are the best Christmas desserts? What are like some Christmas desserts that you just can't go without? Again, like we have like pumpkin pie is very specifically Thanksgiving. I feel like something like a cherry pie seems more seasonally appropriate for Christmas, possibly just because of the vibrant red color being sort of evocative of like holly. Flatbread tacos are great for a random meal. Good to know. Don't really like Xmas pudding. Hmm. Pumpkin pie is for both, says Kitty Tick. Of course, it still has all the warm spices going on. I think a sweet potato dish, like a sweet potato dish, could be good. Apple pie, yummy for Christmas. Yes, apple pie is delicious. So yeah, maybe I'll make like a fruit pie this year. Figgy pudding for the Brits. Yeah. I'm not usually a huge fan of fruit pie, but I could see myself being into it if I made it myself, probably. There is no such thing as a good casserole. All right. Fruitcake? Yeah, sure. Fruitcake. Apple pie is a staple because it can store well, so think of foods that will be good in a cellar, but coming sort of due. Yeah, sure. Like the celebration of Yule and like ergo Christmas is about using the stuff that would be in your ladders, in your stores. I guess technically so is like fucking Imbolc in February, but you use stuff across the winter, which is what the old meals used to be planned around. Yeah. So maybe like yeah, like a salt pork, so, like meat that has been stored. Salt pork could be a good. That's probably why ham is so common because ham is a cured meat, and we cure meats because that makes them last longer. So I can see why ham has become a sort of staple of the Christmas Yuletide time. Cranberries are harvested late in the season, so it makes sense that cranberries have become associated with it. And especially any kind of cranberry preserve makes perfect sense. Rum balls? Ooh, that sounds good. Just really saturate them with rum. I was watching a show where he was trying different cakes, and one of the cakes had been given a rum soak, and he was like, I can actually taste the alcohol. Like this is alcohol in this cake. Being from Michigan, which has so many apples, it's easy to even make it from scratch for relatively cheaply. You know, I did not know that a lot of apples are grown in the Pacific Northwest until like this past week. Because I always think of apples as being associated with like upstate New York for some reason, which I mean, they're kind of the same. Uh, they're the same north south location. Is that which one is that? I can't remember. Again, this is the second time in a week that I'm struggling to remember which one's latitude and which one's longitude. But I love the idea of being able to get like really super fresh apples locally. That's amazing. Fudge, yeah, I agree. Fudge screams Christmas to me. Every Yuletide, I like to light a large tree on fire and cook my prisoners. True. My partner and I were just talking about this recently. Neither of us are fans of the tree that's real. Latitude, okay, cool. They're the same latitudes north south. That kind of doesn't make any sense to me as far as how the planet is shaped, but whatever, we'll just go with it. Iconic reds are grown in the PNW. Beautiful. Yeah, fudge. Palm Top says, I think of fudge as a summer food. Home canned cranberries. Sounds delicious. But yeah, we were just talking about, like, neither of us are fans of the get a real tree thing. Because obviously it's a huge fire hazard and you might accidentally bring bugs into your house that you don't want in your house during the time of year where all of your houseplants are also inside. And currently I have a tree that's about a foot tall. It's not over here. It's in a different place because it is the tree. But we really like the idea of getting one of those big trees that you put together every year. It's like part of the ritual of putting up the decorations is putting the tree together. Because I always had fake trees growing up. And so did my partner. I flat out refuse to get a real tree. It's such a waste of money. Yeah. I know that there is a service where you can get a live tree that comes in a pot and then you can give it back. And after a couple years of that, they actually go plant it. But like, still, I feel like it's expensive and just not worth the risks involved. My fake tree identifies as a real tree. True. I miss my grandma's peanut butter fudge. She took her recipe to the grave. Oh, man. That sounds delicious, though, peanut butter fudge. I love these holidays that let us talk about food. I'm such a foodie. My wife and I have made cranberry from scratch the last few years. We always use a port wine. It's so good and fun to play with all the spices. If we had a canning setup, I'd grow and preserve stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna need to learn how to can, I think. Ooh, one thing that I did this week is I cleaned out my garden plot. You guys know that I had a community garden plot, which was not very big, and I grew some stuff. Mostly the herbs did pretty well. The tomato plants didn't do so well. I think it was just too dry this year for the tomato plants to really succeed. So yeah, I was like kind of waiting for there to be a day where it was nice weather. Maybe it had rained the night before and then it wasn't super cold. The ground hasn't frozen yet. So yeah, I went in a few days ago and I dug up all the plants that I had planted and I dug up any remaining grass in the plot. And then I covered the whole plot with leaves because there's a couple of trees nearby there. And yeah, I'm like, I've closed down the garden plot for the year. It was excellent. Felt really good. Like I did the right thing in closing it out. You know, and for next year, I put a whole bunch of leaves on top so that they will break down and it will kind of add to that plot for next year when someone goes in next year, hopefully. Putting together all the arms and making it look nice is part of my whole vibe. I don't like the trees that are all put together. Give me one with 50 pieces, please. Yeah, I think that like the ones that I remember are like layer by layer. So like here's one layer of tree and then you kind of fluff out all the branches and get them at the right angle and then you put another layer on and then it kind of just keeps stacking up. Everyone hates putting furniture together, but I love that shit. I don't mind I don't mind assembling furniture, but would not take it apart when done. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like that's part of the ritual of it, you know, is like setting up the tree and then putting the ornaments on the tree. And we don't have a lot of ornaments either because we've never had a tree, my partner and I. So I'm sure that we're gonna have to like start acquiring. I guess we have a couple that were gifted to us. Like I think someone gave my partner, um, like a pickle one or something. I don't know. We have like so many different potential avenues we could go down. Like Nightmare Before Christmas ornaments? Yes, please. Have you talked about what you are doing for Christmas? Yeah, so I'm not gonna stream that day. I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll just make a nice dinner and maybe like make a dessert the day before. And just relax and chill, like try to enjoy that, and then basically as soon as we get done with Christmas and like that kind of couple days of relaxation, we're gonna buckle down into like packing. So I think Christmas this year is kind of the last really relaxing time that I'm gonna have for the foreseeable future. Thank you, Chuck, for the $5 donation. That's very generous. I appreciate it. Everybody who's donated tonight has been very kind. I don't think we're going to get to our second stream goal, but that's totally okay. I still appreciate the donos. You could start making ornaments every year. That's true. Excuse me. Ah, there's a Chiefs game. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for stopping by and saying hi. I have a live pine tree in a pot that I've managed to keep alive since last Christmas, and I am hoping to plant it someday, but it is my Christmas tree. Sure, yeah. There's like some fern type plants that look kind of like Christmas trees that I think would be cool to keep around. But it's like another plant that I have to take care of every day of the year. And I'm kind of bad at keeping up with my plant care, TBH. Yes, a good time to practice those crafts. Yeah, I think craft time at Christmas time is perfect. Like let's make something. It seems perfect. This is interesting. So this OnlyFans model recently did like a having sex with 100 men in one day thing. She made headlines for her shocking feat, drawing concerns from viewers when a documentary shared by YouTuber Josh Peters showed Phillips tearing up after completing the sex marathon. Despite the emotional reaction she had initially, she said that she's preparing to complete an even wilder feat of sleeping with 1,000 men in one day. How does that work? Does it? Okay, so here's the question: does each man have to finish? Because I think if you just like get a bunch of guys to like stick it in for a couple seconds, that technically counts as having sex with a man, right? Do you do they have to actually come though? These are the questions that I have. Some guys got cold feet and dropped out during the last event, apparently. So it was maybe she didn't quite get to 100 or something. I don't know. That's crazy. I didn't think 100 was possible in one day. Yeah, well, I mean, it's an event. Like, okay. Yeah, you basically are like getting volunteers or hiring a bunch of guys to. She says here that she's like, okay, there are some logistical things that we're going to do this time that we didn't do last time. Like making sure that the men are undressed in advance and having fluffers on hand to make sure that everyone is ready to perform when it's their turn or whatever. So like, yeah, but is like the logistics of like, okay, so how much time is in a day? Let's just say that every guy takes 5 minutes. And I'm giving them 5 minutes because there's a bunch of people around and that might kill the mood. So if every guy takes 5 minutes, then you can fit like 120. Hold on, no. I can't do math. Hold on. My brain is turning into fucking ooze. 5 times 12 equals 60. So you can get 12 in an hour. Like, I think you don't even have logistical time to let every one of them come. I don't know. That seems like I don't think that every guy can come. This is what I imagine sperm banks are like. Jesus Christ. The most you can realistically hit in a day is like 7. What if 2 at a time? Okay. That's another, yeah, sure. Another logistical consideration. I have so many questions. I have so many logistical questions about this. For 100 guys, it would be about 15 minutes each in 24 hours. Yeah, she did about 100 in 14 hours the last time. That's what I'm reading here. She came up with the idea of maybe breaking the world record of 919 men in one day, which Kitty mentioned earlier. The current world record is 919 in 24 hours. She was in a booth at a porn convention. I think these dudes have to orgasm in like 2 to 3 minutes. I guess if you're just on the sidelines edging and then you just come in when you're ready to go. Oh my God, my cramps. Fucking God damn it. I just want to punch the wall. I just want to punch things. The annoying thing is how it's mostly fine, and then suddenly it's like, I'm in a lot of pain. It's like, stop. Shut the fuck up. Leave me alone. I hate you so much. Oh my God. Yeah, are all the holes getting filled? Is it strictly PIV? I have zero response to this question that is remotely kosher. Yeah. None of this is about being horny anymore. She's chasing the feat of strength. Yeah. I mean, she's trying to set a record. Yeah, do you have a break to eat? Do you have a lunch break in here, or do you just like eat while you're getting railed? Like I don't know. I have so many questions. Is she going to do it in like a 14-hour workday? Cuz like I don't want to open my calculator, but that's so much. You just got to cram them in. Pun intended. This is what I found while I was just scrolling Twitter, by the way. I was just scrolling Twitter, like, what's going on Twitter? And that's what I discovered. Someone plans to break the world record of maximum number of men have sex with in one day. The Norwegian lady stopped to shower a few times. Sure. Just hose it down. I know you would be so sore at the end of the day. Oh, goodness gracious. I think for the time to work out, it would need to be hands, mouth, V, and optionally the butt. Maybe. I think if each guy is, like, ready to finish at the moment that he approaches, then sure, if you just stick it in and it's 10 seconds, then sure, you can get it done pretty quickly, I suppose. It's crazy. Anyway, you're welcome for that little tidbit of information. You're welcome. Yes, there's a world record for basically everything, apparently. Yeah, get some lube. Yeah. I feel like in that situation, you need some silicone-based lube, so it doesn't dry out in between. If this arms race continues, it's going to require Wallace and Gromit contraptions. Oh, God. Ugh. Yeah, who's the father? A 55-gallon barrel of lube? Nice. Yeah. You might as well just be swimming in lube. Jimmy should try and set the world record for longest live stream. I don't know if he can do that. He's got health things. There's going to be an intern with a super soaker filled with lube just every once in a while. Like a water pistol. Just a water pistol. Like, hey, I can see it's getting a little dry. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. I feel like it would be a shame to end the stream on that note. I think it would be funny, but I think it would be a shame. The current record holder is a Norwegian woman, I believe. That's what Kitty was saying earlier. Or maybe I got my brain confused. Hold on. I don't. Maybe I got my brain confused. I don't remember if she specified what country it was in. That was a different thing. Norwegian was a different thing. Please don't bring super soakers into this. The record presently is held by one Kazuhisa Ukusa. Okay, Uekusa. Yeah, let me just leave you with that so you can go masturbate after the show. I'm just seeing if there's anything else we can talk about real quick before wrapping up here, because I'm just about done, I think. We'll find out what's in the tiny box at some future date. Yummy. I need more lemon. I buy like a giant bottle of dehydrated lemon powder, and I need more of it. Ooh, I am gonna make lemon bars. Um, I think it's either the weekend before or after Christmas. I think it's the weekend after Christmas that one of my friends is coming over, and he was like, "I want to make you guys some cocktails. So you need to have like all these ingredients." And some of the ingredients that he specified was like plenty of lemon and orange. So I am thinking about making lemon bars, and that like a post Christmas thing. I don't know, like citrus is heavily associated with Christmas for some reason. Uh, People say like, "Oh, it's the citrus season." I don't actually think it is the citrus season. I just think that citrus is one of the only fruits still being produced during the winter because citrus is already produced in warmer climes. Like obviously you've got the association of oranges with Florida, and Florida is kind of the same all year round. So I don't actually know if winter is the citrus season or if it's just like that is the only fresh fruit that is available. So yeah, I do feel like lemon bars or lemon cake or something equivalent to that is um Christmassy. Like lemon stuff would be Christmassy. It's the season when oranges would come to northern Europe back in the 19th century. Okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. Like they were being shipped there. So it takes time for the ships to get back, probably, right? Like literally it's about shipping times and stuff. Okay, yeah, so they would be harvested at the normal time and then be shipped back to Europe in the Victorian era. Cool. Making lemon bars seems tough cuz nothing rhymes with lemon. Lennon rhymes with lemon. So checkmate, atheists. Jesus. Oh, John, when talking about Kazuhisa Ukesa was talking about the world record for most matches lit with strikers on plungers attached to the nipples. Is that guy who does stuff like he clamps something to his nipples and then uses that to do the yank the tablecloth trick and stuff? Door hinge rhymes with orange. True, Phoebe. I need a lemon boyfriend, a strawberry girlfriend, and a banana partner. Delicious. I would love a strawberry girlfriend. That sounds incredible, actually. Like girls in sundresses, girls in strawberry sundresses. Thank God. Just thank God for women in strawberry sundresses. Lemon rhymes with like 200 words. Okay, I don't actually know. I just thought that my Lennon joke was funny. Rhyming in English is basically cheating because most of your words rhyme depending on dialect. True, we can skew things a lot based on what dialect you're using. Ha ha ha, yeah, lemon party. Ha ha ha. That's cool though. It's cool. Like I know that a lot of the pagan practices that I'm incorporating are based on European tradition, but it's cool to understand why. Like why is citrus a European tradition? Okay, because the fruits would get shipped back to England and would be available during the winter time just based on the fact that they had been shipped across the entire ocean. Dialect is definitely key to rhyming in English. Yep. We cheat. We're cheaters. Rhyming in Japanese is easy because every syllable ends in a vowel. Except for, true. I don't even know if rhyming is part of the form for Japanese poetry. I mean, because haiku don't rhyme. I want a clitordicus emote. Well, if you make it, I might upload it to the website, but no promises. The words door and flow rhyme if said the right way. You mean in like African American vernacular? Like she walked through the dough and then I was on my flow? I did not think that rhyming was much of a thing in Japanese poetry. Also, I think it's kind of debatable if a haiku is actually a haiku, if it doesn't have something to do with nature, just because it follows the syllabic formula. Because haiku is like kind of specifically like nature poetry, but that's kind of getting to a level of insane gatekeeping that I'm not sure I want to engage in, especially because I am not that culture. It's just a little nitpick. It's a little pet peeve of mine. This is just kind of funny. So, never thought I would be saying this, but I'm anxiously awaiting Timothy Chalamet's red carpet look because he's doing this movie where he is Bob Dylan. And this person said, if he does this, I won't say anything bad about him ever again. And then it turned out he did literally exactly that. I guess I'll have to stick to my word, she says. Generally, a proper haiku relates to the seasons or nature, contemplates existence or eternity, and has a twist. Lemon Demon does that catchy Ultimate Showdown song, right? I think so. Then Gandalf the Grey and Gandalf the White and Monty Python and the Holy Grail's Black Knight and something Eenie. Oh man, I can't remember it after that. I used to know a lot of that. I don't know as much of it anymore. Arabic is way into poetry. Cool. Bridget Empire just posted JKR's War on Butlins. I saw that Bridget had just posted about something to do with JKR. I don't watch political essays. I love Bridget. She's great. We used to have a podcast together and I don't know that it's ever going to happen again. The time zones, she lives in like Croatia or something. It's kind of hard to get the time zones synced up. And I'm sure it will be even harder when I'm 2 hours earlier. Benito Mussolini. Okay, got it. Yeah. And John B. the Genie. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of get lost after that. Yeah, old Godzilla was jumping around Tokyo City like a big playground when Batman jumped out of the shade and hit Godzilla with a bat grenade. Everybody can just pick their favorite parts of that song and just go with it. It's so fun. Mm. Good times, great oldies. That's such an old song at this point, too. Oh my god. And it's like that always reminds me of the emo song and the gangster song. I'm a gangster. I'm a straight up G. The gangster life is a life for me. They just all kind of inhabit the same place in my brain. Mm. Oh, yeah, this was the other clemency that Biden is receiving that I thought was fucked up. Um, A Mississippi doctor who was sentenced to 20 years in prison in 2012 for defrauding Medicare by providing diluted chemotherapy drugs and old used needles to cancer patients. One patient of Sachdeva's clinic claims to have contracted HIV because of old needles. That's who Biden is choosing to pardon. That's what's going on. Are we singing We Didn't Start the Fire? No, Chuck. It's an old song called The Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny. And the whole premise is that, like, it's a bunch of different characters from different fictional franchises, like, having a fight. So it's very silly and kind of pointless, but amusing. Accused or convicted. She was serving her she was sentenced to 20 years in prison, so she was convicted. That's what sentencing is, right? You aren't sentenced until you're convicted. So I'm assuming she was serving. She had served 12 years of her 20-year sentence, and then is now receiving clemency from Biden for some fucking reason. Yeah, absolute bullshit. Yeah, I cut flour into dialysis machines to save money. Just when you thought that it couldn't get worse, it gets worse. Yawn. Okay. Mr. Rogers is a war hero and a sexy badass. Fair enough. True, Nouvenant. I can't remember the name of the person you're quoting, but I know that you're quoting a drag queen who's awesome. Mm. Okay, guys, I think that might be just about it for us today. I'm definitely grasping at straws for things to talk about, and I'm ready to eat lunch. So I'm gonna go do that. I am, as usual, planning on seeing you on Wednesday. Oh my God, Wednesday is 1 week from Christmas, y'all. So we have, so we have 2 more streams between now and Christmas. Only 1 more stream between now and Yule, really. But yes, much love, my dears. I will see you in the future. Be good, or at least don't get in trouble.